And last week, one of the big things we talked about was being a disciple and discipline. And the difference between those two words was, Trina? In. I-N. The only difference between disciple and discipline is the letters I-N. And we talked about the only way to really to walk a straight path, the only way to really help others and to be stable is to get the discipline inside of you so that you become a disciple. Okay, that I-N inside of you, and that creates the disciple. This week, it ties into what we're talking about, because we're talking about faith. Okay, I know people saying, look, I've been in this church for years. I know about faith. I've heard this message a bunch of times. You probably have heard some of it. I wouldn't doubt that at all. But we're going to deal with it from a couple different areas, but we got to start. We got to start with what faith is. Who in here, because some of y'all been here, some of y'all said being smart ain't got nothing to do with it, but some of y'all been here forever. Who in here know what faith is? No. Yeah, but that too. Oh, no. That too. No. What you got? The substance of things hoped for and the evidence. What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's like, I look at it like this. It's like believing that if I'm hoping and praying for something, I'm going to get it. But I can't just keep saying I want it. I got to believe that I'm going to get it.
You got to know that you're going to get it.
And it's like I got to foresee it. Like I got to see it before I actually get to it.
Look, prophets, you got to see it. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely correct. Now, what was the acrostic you brought up? You don't remember the acrostic? Come on, man. That's one of Pastor's favorite ones. He said it a million times.
It's like, I don't know, fully
Accepting
the invisible, tangible heavens or something like that.
Say it again. I can put it together now.
Fully accepting the invisible, tangible heavens.
Let me just say to the camera, that's Pastor Brown stuff. That ain't mine. I don't want nobody to think I'm plagiarizing. That's it. But now I'm gonna challenge you. You never know. I'll be surprised. Check this out. Who remembers the one before that? His original acrostic. You might not remember it. But I'm asking if anybody do. I'm just wondering.
which lady's strange? You telling me?
All of them. The original one is the one that I'm going to focus on, or I'm focused on, but I'm going to bring up, and that was the final authority that impossible.
Yeah, that's right. Good job.
Okay. It just took a little hint. It took a little hint. She was on it.
No, she used to read the
words of different life. But let's get back to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But let's get back to what Gigi said, because that definition, not only did it come out of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, but that's actually the definition when I was in college and took a religion class that the teacher used. Because he said there was no better definition for the word. In all his years of scholarly study and all this kind of stuff. And when you take a religion class in college, they try to tell you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't really believe. So it really does try your faith. But in this situation, to define faith, he could find no better definition. That says a lot. All the dictionaries, all the encyclopedias, all the websites in the world, and his professor, several doctorate degrees, several books published, couldn't find any other definition better for faith than, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But I want to touch on verse 3, because it says, through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which were seen were not made of things which do appear. What does that mean? What in the world does that mean? What that means is, and I should have read it in the Amplified. It's a little bit clearer.
Okay, you want me to read it?
Yes, ma'am.
It says, by faith we understand that the worlds during the successive ages were framed, fashioned, put in order, and equipped for their intended purpose by the word of God, so that what we see was not made out of things which are visible.
Now that's the key. That's the key. What it's telling you is the world and everything in it and the direction of the world and everything supporting it was made by word only. Even though you see it, everything in this world you can see was made by something not seen. So think about that for a minute. That's kind of hard to think about. I can see something, but what made it, I can't see. That's hard to think. So you see a baby elephant. Think about it. It came from 2 adult elephants. But what if it didn't? I mean, what if it just was? I said, let there be an elephant. And there was an elephant. I mean, I ain't God, so that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
But I'm saying it's hard to fathom. It's hard to fathom. So faith essentially, what it does essentially puts a guarantee in our minds that allows us to see what's not there or it's not manifested yet. We can see it already in our mind's eye. And even before our natural eyes get a chance to comprehend it. So faith is, I like to think of it as, I like Law and Order and CSI and stuff like that. And that's what scientists love to go to. They love to say, how can you believe in creation? And how can you do this when we have this scientific evidence of X, Y, and Z? But how many of you understand that science is limited by faith? Think about it for a minute. Think about this for a minute. They say that they age things by carbon date. So essentially, and to make a long story short, you take carbon, the atom, because everything in the world contains carbon. Everything natural in the world contains carbon. And they take the half-life of this element, meaning how long is half its life. And then they use something to measure that carbon, amount of carbon in something, blah, blah, blah. You get the age of it. But think about this. Who came up with carbon? Think about it. Who came up with carbon? Let's get simpler. Let's get simpler than that. Let's get simpler than that. Who taught us that 1 + 1 = 2? Probably our parents or one of our teachers.
Miss Ford.
But what made them right? How do you know that they're correct? How you know, Alicia? How you know when Uncle Ricky said 1 + 1 = 2 when you was this big, that he was right?
I just believe it.
You just believed him. Absolutely. What you just said is faith. We operate in faith in everyday life and have no idea. And we find it so hard to be faithful in God. Why? We use this stuff every day. All the time. The alphabet, who made that up? Do y'all know how many different alphabets there are out there?
Quite a few.
For every language, there's a different alphabet. Every language. I took Spanish when I was in high school and middle school and high school. There are letters in the Spanish alphabet that aren't in the English alphabet. And the English alphabet is not really English. Most of y'all don't even know that. So, how is it that we live in the same world, but 2 different alphabets can have different letters? Think about it. Because as much knowledge as man has, as much wisdom as God has placed in man, and he created us in his image and after his likeness, so we certainly were going to be smart. I mean, if we weren't smart, then he would have a sad image. But how much faith do we have in man more than God?